Traveling with only a passport, headphones, and a bag of records, the DJ is the underground celebrity that rocks the dance floor. Welcome to the network, the Global Groove Network, your backstage pass to the underground phenomenon known as the DJ culture. This week, GGN presents house music icon Carl Cox as he gears up for his North American tour and gets ready to launch and promote the rebirth of his music label Intec. Since Britain's rave revolution of the late 80s, Carl has been at the forefront of their electronic music scene. Bringing a hard, eclectic evolution of house music to his sets, Carl has been in demand all over the globe. Along with his successful touring and performances in over 50 different countries, Carl has managed to create some of the most memorable house music tracks for the dance floor. Carl Cox is truly a master behind the decks and a passionate pioneer of the underground sound, known as house music.
What drew me to DJing was my father and my mum, actually, because they used to have parties at home in my house in England, and I was only 8 or maybe 8 and nearly 9 years old, and my family from Barbados, so they always have this kind of Caribbean idea of people coming together as a gathering to have parties at home. But of course you need music. So my dad used to go to the record store and used to go and buy what he enjoyed playing. So it could be anything like Aretha Franklin, James Brown, it could be Duane Eddy, it could be some country and western singers, Dolly Parton, Jim Reeves. The list is endless when it came to music at that time. But soul, funk and R&B was the stuff that they really enjoyed. So this is the kind of music that I grew up with by hearing what my dad was playing. And then eventually I came down from, I was asleep, you know, by the time the party started, you know, the kids go to bed. And then I'd be hearing James Brown and Sam and Dave and all this sort of music being played downstairs, and people enjoying themselves, talking, you know, like any other party that we enjoy now. But back in the day then, you know, it was one turntable, 2 speakers, and my dad putting on the 45s, you know. And eventually my dad was also the guy that only had 3 to 4 minutes to go and get drinks, come back, change the record. So one day I came downstairs to see what all the noise and commotion was about, and my dad saw me on the banisters, and he was just like, you know, you have 2 choices: you can go back to bed, or you can come down there and put these records on for me, you know, as a chore. And I was like, bed or records? So I was like, I'll come down and play the records. And everyone loved the idea that Carl Cox's son was playing music. So that's how I got introduced to playing records to people, even when I was a very young age. Well, my first kind of mixing skills came from hip-hop. Because, you know, a lot of records that came out at that time were like funk R&B records, which only lasted 2.5 to 3 minutes. So to extend them, we had to have 2 copies of the same record, and then to cut those records up in the way that you could, in the respect of skills. I like to think that my skills were maybe up to about 70–80%, where there's some other DJs that were just truly amazing, you know, how they used to cut records up. But I used that instant kind of gratification of cutting records to house music. So therefore I was always known for that edgy sound of mixing music together. It wasn't aggressive, it was just the way that I used to do it so quickly. And I still do that today exactly the same way. That's always been the Carl Cox sound. And obviously layering and crossing beats over and bass lines has always been things that has always interested me throughout my whole career. For me, I always want a DJ to take me somewhere. You know, it's okay playing all the big hit records and, okay, hands in the air and everyone's happy, but I want to find out a bit more about the DJ's soul. I want to know why that DJ is playing that record. I want to know why the DJ is playing that record now, and this kind of thing, because these are all the things in life that you expect or unexpect based on what you want from the music. And for me, I have been doing this a long time. I kind of went from, you know, 8 years old playing music to people who wanted to hear a selection of sound of which I thought was great. And that's all I've ever done. I've kind of carried on that whole persona or process of how I play my music. So whether it be hard techno, whether it be soulful funk, whether it be breaks or progressive or drum and bass, you know, when I see people, I decide to myself that I feel that this is the right music for the right time. And so none of the sets are hardly ever the same. They're always different in their own way. It's purely based on what I see. it's been something of a phenomenon because, you know, like any culture, there's always you have to have followers, and, you know, us being DJs, we have a lot of people that follow us and have been following us for years. But the music has been consistently good all the way through, and it's been the evolution of it has been just phenomenal from how it started from such humble roots. So I think because it kind of grew organically, this whole scene is one of the reasons why it's still here, and people are always interested in to see the reason why it's still here. So, you know, when people stick their head around the door and they see people just dancing to, you know, to certain DJs or to a certain sound, you know, some people like it, some people hate it, but it's to be understood that it's an embodiment of bringing people together, which has been positive for the scene over the course of 20 years even.
Over the past couple decades, the electronic music scene has evolved its global connectivity. Before the internet, DJs and partygoers were segregated to their own territories to experience the scene as well as discover new music through raves, record shops, and clubs.
Well, going out and buying records was always a part of a DJ's persona. It was to do with how you wanted to be perceived, in the sense of how when you played your music to an audience, you know, you have 1 week to find new music every week. So when you went to certain record shops, no matter where you was, it was always great to find those gems, those records that people didn't think were good records. So if you bought an album, for instance, from an artist, and you like the artist, but throughout that album there's only 1 or 2 tracks that are any good, but there might be a 3rd track that a lot of DJs have missed, but it's brilliant. It's not brilliant now, but it could be brilliant in 6 months' time. You play that track and you bring that to the front. That means that you were listening beyond what the perception is, and that's what I've always done. I've always looked for that other track, which is on the B-side. Track 2 is the one that's actually rocking it.
As the future of electronic music grew through the internet, so did the opportunities for the DJ to be heard by a larger audience. Outlets like pirate radio, MySpace, Facebook, and brand new technologies that were easily accessible evolved the process of DJing. Vinyl and turntables turned into MP3s and laptops. The past was slowly being replaced by the present.
It's, you know, I've gone through all these changes to, you know, from when I started playing music from 45s, you know, into 12 inches from albums. You know, the turntable was always king when it comes to performance, and now, you know, people look around and look at me strangely even if I talk about a turntable, because they have no idea what it is. But meanwhile, it's something which has happened, and we can't look back on the past and think, you know, that was all great then, because what's happening now is just as good, if not better. Based on that, we can obtain music more, we can talk to people more about what we like. There's always like-minded people on the internet that are interested in it. They wouldn't be on there if there wasn't, and it's a good way of passing music along to each other based on how we can create music. So for me, it's a good day, not a bad day. I mean, like I said, my career has spanned over 30 years, and it's been that way because I basically wanted to master the art of DJing wholly, you know, in the sense of playing music that you know, music that you don't know, music that's crossed the line in the sense of it doing too hard, music being ambient, everything that I could possibly play in an environment which makes people understand that I'm a DJ playing music is the art. If you just come to play minimal, or you just come to play house, or you just come to play techno, it's easy to do that. You just go, you know, one of the download sites, you get the top 20 of the same records, and you mix them in. Well, that's not art. That's just laziness. And some people are expected to get paid for that. So, you know, you need to dig a lot deeper. You need to have a personality and a persona. You need to get people to understand that when you're a DJ, you play all types of music. You dig deep for what you think is right for the night. And for me, that's what I could respect.